Staff, please start the live stream.
We are live.
Thank you, and welcome to the May 12th, 2022 joint meeting of the Board of Directors. We will first start with the invocation that was supposed to be led by Director Bartlett, but as we all understand, she is very busy with the coastal fire that's going on right now. So instead, the invocation will be led by Director Trish Kelly, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Director Hurt.
Thank you. Please join me. Our Father, we do come so humbly before you today and ask for your hand of wisdom upon this body. We understand the importance of the many decisions we make on behalf of this region, and we ask for your direction. At this time, we lift up to you those who have been impacted by the devastating fire in Laguna Niguel. We pray for those families who have been displaced and others whose homes are threatened. We pray for safety for those families, for those residents and that community, and also for the many, many firefighters and law enforcement officers who are there on scene helping. We pray for our community leaders there, the city council members, the county, the fire chief, those who are on hand and are helping to make decisions. We especially lift up Director Minigar, as he has been affected by this as well. We ask for your hand of mercy here, and we also ask for your hand of protection around those who are using our roads. Give us all wisdom as we make important decisions for this agency this morning. Amen.
Amen. And now for the Pledge of Allegiance, do we have Director Hurt?
Good morning. Good morning, staff. Good morning, directors. If you could please join me as we recite our pledge, and right hands over your heart, ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As Director Kelly said during the invocation, we're certainly thinking right now of all of our residents in Laguna Niguel. Director Minigar, we're certainly thinking of you and your council and your leadership roles during a particularly trying time, and to all of our directors who also serve on the Orange County Fire Authority Board, and also for all of the agencies that have sent mutual aid, including the city of Newport Beach. We're certainly thinking of all of our firefighters at this time as well. So thank you, Director Kelly. All right, Madam Clerk, we'll go into roll call now.
Chair Will O'Neill,
Here?
Vice Chair Heft, Director Connors,
Here.
Director Hurt,
Here.
Director Minigar, Director Reynolds,
Here.
Director Vic Sorick, Chair Wong, Vice Chair Miller, Director Beal,
Here.
Director Chafee,
Present.
Director Lombard,
Here.
Director Murphy,
Here.
Director Trevor O'Neill,
Here.
Director Voights, Alternate Goebel,
Here.
Director Kelly.
Director Voight is here.
Noted, thank you. Director Kahn,
Here.
Director Penaloza,
Present.
Director Taylor,
Here.
Director Wagner,
Here.
Director Chamberlain,
Here.
Vice Chair Heft,
I am here.
Director Minigar, Director Vic Sorick, Vice Chair Miller. Mr. Chair, noting the absence of Director Minigar, Director Vic Sorick, and Vice Chair Miller, We do have quorum on both boards.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll move into public comments. Madam Clerk, do we have any written public comments?
Mr. Chair, at this time during live public broadcasting, members of the public may address the joint boards of directors regarding any items, excuse me, within the subject matter jurisdiction of the joint boards of directors. But no action may be taken on off-agenda items unless authorized by law. Written public comments received in advance of the meeting will be distributed to the directors. Live public comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person unless the chair, subject to the approval of the boards of directors, set different time limits. Mr. Chair, we have received one written public comment from District Attorney Todd Spitzer, and we have no live public commenters.
Thank you very much. On that question of the district attorney's letter, I have it in front of me. Have we sent it around to the rest of our board?
Yes, Mr. Chair, via email this morning.
All right. So folks, real quick, I'm going to note that as we are about to move into, and I'll highlight I have a few things to say before we actually go into the consent calendar, but just for everyone's knowledge, we are going to be pulling item 10 off of the consent calendar. Item 10 is the Toll Enforcement Services Contract Amendment. That is what the district attorney's letter is referencing. So in the meantime, between now and when we are going to be going into that, if you would like to read that letter, it was sent to you by email. So please do check your email before we get to that item. All right, as with previous meetings, I ask the directors participating via Zoom to raise their Zoom hand if they have any questions or comments regarding any of the items today. Those participating via teleconference can press *9 to raise your hand. If you have technical difficulty, please text the clerk and they'll let me know. And then before we begin today's consent calendar, I mentioned that the staff is going to be pulling item 10 for both boards. So we're going to go to that item after we deal with the rest of the consent calendar. With that, we're going to turn to the San Joaquin Hills consent calendar, which is items 1 through 4 and 6 through 9. Madam Clerk, do we have any live public commenters specific to the San Joaquin Hills consent calendar items 1 to 4 and 6 to 9?
There are no live public commenters.
Thank you. Directors, do we have, for San Joaquin Hills only, do we have any that would like to pull or discuss any items? If so, please use your hand function. I'm looking in the room. I see none. On the screen, I see none. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
This is Cynthia Connors. I'll move the consent calendar.
Wagner, second.
Seconded by Director Wagner. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll go into the vote.
Chair Will O'Neill,
Aye.
Vice Chair Heft, Alternate Goebel.
Aye. Yes.
Director Connors,
Aye.
Director Hurt,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Kahn,
Yes.
Director Minigar, Director Penaloza,
Yes.
Director Reynolds,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Aye.
Director Vic Sorick, Director Wagner,
Aye.
All right,
Director Minigar, Director Vic Sorick. Mr. Chair, noting the absence of Director Minigar and Director Vic Sorick, the item passes unanimously.
Thank you. Now we're going to move into the Foothill Eastern consent calendar, items 1 through 3 and 5 through 9. Do we have any live public commenters specific to those items?
There are no live public commenters.
Thank you very much. All right, directors, do we have any items that you would like to pull or discuss from those consent calendar items? Okay, seeing none, let's go ahead and entertain a motion.
Director Voight from Lake Forest would like to move consent calendar.
Second, Murphy.
Wagner, I'll second again.
All right, we'll take the second from Director Murphy on that one. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll go into the vote.
Chair Wong,
Yes.
Vice Chair Miller, Alternate Goebel,
Yes.
Director Beal,
Aye.
Director Chafee,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Kahn,
Yes.
Director Lombard,
Aye.
Director Murphy,
Aye.
Director Trevor O'Neill,
Aye.
Director Penaloza,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Aye.
Director Voights,
Yes.
Director Wagner,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller. Mr. Chair, noting the absence of Vice Chair Miller, the item passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to now move into our board business, which will now include item 10. So we'll have 3 presentation items. Just a quick reminder, if you would like to be heard on these items, just use the raised hand feature, and I'll make sure to call on you. Before we receive the presentation, staff, do we have any public commenters for item 10, which is the toll enforcement services?
There are no live public commenters.
All right, thank you. All right, the item's going to be presented by Vinny Valdez.
Thank you, Chair O'Neill. Excuse me. Good morning, honorable directors. Vinny Valdez, Chief Toll Operations Officer. This item is a request for contract authorization to extend our toll enforcement services contract with California Highway Patrol for 1 year. At the end of this presentation, we'll be requesting approval of this item. Next slide, please. Okay, first some background. TCA's agreement with CHP for toll enforcement services has been in place since May of 2000. The purpose of this agreement is to get, number one, an increased enforcement focus on no plate and obstructed plate violations, which result in lost revenue. We also want additional deterrent presence. With that increased safety, with that increased presence, we get enforcement for excessive speeding as an indirect benefit, and we want to address queue jumping at the 241. Again, increased safety for our riders. CHP provides its enforcement services on a voluntary overtime basis, and each agency has its own contract with the California Highway Patrol. And both contracts expire on June 30th of this year. Next slide, please. As I have updated during previous briefings, we've been working with CHP to increase visibility into their activity, as we'll see over the next few slides. Here we have the deployment activity for normal patrolling hours. TCA does not pay for this. This is what we get for, quote, free. This is CHP balancing the enforcement of our roads with their other responsibilities and priorities. And fiscal year to date, we have a total of 848 hours in regular deployments with 807 citations written. Next slide, please. Here, we have a snapshot of the overtime activity that we pay extra for, broken down by month and road. A lot of numbers on the slide, but if we focus towards the bottom right, we can see that fiscal year to date through March, CHP has deployed 2,189 hours, driven 26,823 miles, issued 2,191 citations, and has given 237 verbal warnings. I'll call out a couple of things on this slide. First, note that 2/3 of the overtime hours have been in the Foothill Eastern compared to normal patrol hours, where they're mostly on the 73. This is a function of us indicating to CHP where and when we would like them to deploy. There are more lane miles, more no plate violations, and obstructed plate violations, and it's a bigger system. Then, depending on the overtime resources they have available, they deploy accordingly. Second, you will also see the increase in the amount of deployment hours worked the past few months. CHP has been able to recover staffing levels, and with that, we are seeing a more recent trend of increasing levels of miles driven and increased intervention on the roadways in the form of citations and warnings issued. So some good visibility into the intervention activity occurring out on the roads because of this overtime spend. Next slide, please. Where the incident counts generally fluctuate up and down with traffic, excuse me. Okay, so here we're looking at the number of incidents of no plate and obstructed plate incidents, averaging around 30,000 a month roughly, generally fluctuating up and down with traffic. But if you look to the rightmost column, we see that the percentage of violations hold relatively constant month over month at less than 1%. We see a similar trend for excessive speeding, where the number of incidents trend up and down with traffic volumes, but the percentage of incidents of excessive speeding are being held steady at a very low level. Next slide, please. And here we've been keeping an eye on queue jumping on the 241-91. A couple of things to note here. First, as most are already aware, channelizers were installed at the 241 northbound transition to the 91 eastbound, and that installation was completed on February 14th of this year. We've received some positive feedback from CHP. They are telling us that the channelizers are making a difference. So second, note that we have a trend down this year in the number of citations and warnings, and importantly, no collisions reported to the CHP since January. So the anecdotal information and the data speak to the channelizers having an effect. Next slide, please. So when we add it all up, for the 9 months fiscal year to date, we have an increase in interventions and deterrent presence that helps keep our roads safe. We have relatively low percentages of plate violations and excessive speeding as recorded by our tolling system. And we have reduced collisions and interventions at the 241-91, which translates into increased safety. With that, the request is for authorization to extend these agreements 1 year at an amount that equates to roughly 3,000 hours across both agencies. This aligns with fiscal year 22, current fiscal year projections, and increased patrol hours that we have been able to achieve. This does not reflect a reduction in the hours that CHP is currently providing. And the contingency being requested at 10% adds an additional 300 hours, bringing the total capacity to 3,300 hours compared to 3,600 this fiscal year. The reduction from 3,600 hours to 3,300 hours was not cited in the staff report. I wanted to call that out. But the service levels that we have been able to achieve have been supported by the recommended contract value. Next slide, please. So for San Joaquin Hills, the recommendation is to authorize the CEO to execute amendments to its CHP contract to extend it 1 year with a not to exceed of $117,291, and authorize the CEO to execute additional changes in an amount not to exceed 10% or $11,729 of the above authorization. Next slide, please. For Foothill Eastern, essentially the same recommendation, extend 1 year with a not to exceed of $246,509 and a 10% contingency at $24,651. This concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, directors, if you have any questions, please use the raise hand feature, and we'll start with Director Wagner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate the presentation. This is an item that I've had an opportunity to discuss at some length with Samuel, and I do appreciate the effort that was taken by Chairman Voights and the Toll Operations Committee to right size, as it was described to me, the budget, given some challenges in actually getting the level of service that we were requesting from CHP. And so while I do appreciate that, I do think that at this point, the best thing to do, rather than what appears to be cut hours and what is proposed in the staff report with respect to the hours for CHP, that we keep it at the 3,600 hours that was originally requested by this board. And if there are opportunities to encourage CHP to provide that level of service, I'm told we lose around $1 million a year through cars that don't have plates or partial plates or unreadable plates. And so the opportunity to continue with CHP at the level of service the board believes is the right one, the $3,600 or 3,600 hours, is probably the right way to go. So no secret, I asked the DA to weigh in on this. He addressed the letter that was emailed out to us all this morning to me, but it is to the entire board and represents his view, the view of law enforcement, frankly, my view as well, that we ought to try to keep it at the 3,600, encourage the CHP to provide the overtime, the resources necessary. And so to the extent a motion is required, I will make the motion to accept the staff recommendation with the change that we stick to the 3,600 hours rather than the reduction. If we use it all, great. If we don't use it all, then we have that surplus in the budget to address in future years. But I don't see a downside to having a surplus. I do see an upside to keeping the levels at 3,600 that we're requesting, and an opportunity to realize some portion or all of that million that we've been losing. So I don't know if that's a substitute motion. It's the first motion on the floor. It is accept staff recommendation with the levels at $3,600, 3,600 hours, excuse me. So that would be my motion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, this is Scott Voights, and I'm the chair of Toll Ops. May I?
I'm sorry, I misunderstood the question, Scott. What were you asking?
I'd like to intercede on this, and I'll make a motion or a second that motion, but I'd like to have a few words first, please.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. When we had this before us in Toll Ops, we was a debate on where the comfort level was, and them trying to reach the amount of hours that were already stated for them. They never really came to the amount of hours that were required of them or asked of them. So we thought that bringing it to a comfortable level where we're still pushing them. But I think in this time where the DA's now set in, I think the optics wise, I think Director Wagner makes a good point that if we have the hours there, it's a target for them to try to achieve. In Toll Ops, we went through and because of the diverters on the 241-91 transition, a lot of the CHP time was spent along that diverter as they were making transition from 241 to 91 as they were jumping in the queue. But the diverters have eased that up, lessened the amount of collisions we've had on the highway, and the fact that we've actually had lower numbers of actual speeding tickets and violations. So we thought it was a comfortable level where we still pushed them, but the fact that to have that in the bank and have that as a target for them isn't a bad thing, because you obviously more presence on that will actually divert more money into us, because the fact that toll operations, toll violations, when they don't have plates on or their licenses aren't being read, I think is a good thing for us. And so I'm going to second that motion from Director Wagner and say that I think it's a good thing to have the money in the bank. And it was something we talked about quite a bit in Toll Ops, but I'm in agreement. Thank you so much for that motion, Director Wagner.
All right. Procedurally, just I'm going to note that with Director Wagner being on both boards, I'll take his motion as a motion for both boards, and I will take Director Voigt's second as a second for Foothill Eastern. I saw Director Goebel. Did you have your hand up?
Oh, yes, I just wanted to second Director Wagner's motion.
I apologize. Who is Director? Oh, she's on both. Okay, so he is, all right. We'll take that as a second for San Joaquin. All right, thank you. Director Heft.
Yes, thank you, Chair O'Neill. I just had a question for clarification purposes, and that has to do with, I think in Vinny's report, it said something about, I think 2,000, I was driving, so I don't have the exact figure, but it was 2,000 or so citations and about 200 warnings. And I just wanted to get a little bit more information on that in terms of what constituted a warning and what constituted a citation. I thought that was interesting with the difference.
Sure. So thank you for the question. The citations are written for such things as speeding, expired registration, queue jumping, related unsafe lane changes.
Okay.
Okay, and then the verbal warnings, right, are given for those same violations, let's say, but the officer, in their discretion, rather than issue a citation, instead provides a verbal warning, and then they note that they gave that warning in their files.
Would that partially answers my question? Would that have to do with speed, or were there certain parameters that they were using? I think that's very interesting about the warning, because I haven't seen warnings in a long time, and I wanted to find out what kind of factors went into that.
I will ask them that question and get back to you.
Okay, I think that's fine. Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, if I may, Director Heft, this is Samuel Johnson. I think you asked a good question. Our general understanding, it's at the individual officer's discretion. I think some of us may have had an experience where we may have been pulled over for something, and we have a discussion with the CHP officer, and they direct us, and we are fortunate to only receive a warning versus an actual ticket. So I don't think there are hard set rules. It comes down to the individual officer's discretion. But as Mr. Valadez noted, we will follow up and see if we can get additional information for you.
I think that would be good information. I just personally, I think if someone is trying to do the right thing, our goal should not be to try to have the CHP issue as many tickets as possible. I think just more of a gentle approach is good if it is effective.
All right. Next, we'll go to Chair Wong, I should say, and then we'll go back to Director Wagner.
Thank you, Chair O'Neill. I just wanted to ask about the contract price. If we go up to the level for 3,600 hours, how I'm assuming the numbers might change a little bit?
Sure. So staying at the 3,600 as opposed to the 3,000, it basically adds 20% to all of the numbers we're looking at on the screen. So for Foothill Eastern, that would equate to $295,811 being requested. And then the 10% of that would be $29,581. For San Joaquin Hills, the numbers change to $144,749.20 being requested, and then 10% of that would be $14,075.
Okay, thank you. And so I think that the for the motion to adopt recommendation should reflect those new numbers.
Yep. It equates to 70,000, a little more than 70,000 additional dollars over and to get combined to what's being requested. Okay.
Yeah, that was how I understood the motion. Director Wagner, you're up next, and just to be clear, is that how you understood your motion as well?
Yes, it's clear to me that we would have to do the increase in terms of dollars, though there's no guarantee given CHP staffing levels that we'll actually end up having to spend them. And that's why I say if we don't end up spending them, we've got them in the budget. We've got those extra dollars available. But we're in great financial shape, and thank you to Samuel and Amy and everybody who's worked to get us there. I think we have it available. The motion should reflect either hours or numbers, whichever's easiest for staff to quantify it. That was the motion. And I did want to just add real quickly, just maybe it's anecdotal, but at this point, with respect to the CHP and the ticket versus warning issue, coincidentally, I had a chance to do a ride along about 2 weeks ago with the CHP, and it is very much discretionary when an officer issues a warning versus a ticket. There were a couple of cases where in my ride along, and it wasn't on the toll roads, it was on the 5, but the principle applies. The officer basically let somebody off. We had him dead to rights and speeding. The officer let them off for whatever reasons, but on a couple of those occasions, he came back to me and said, okay, let's go get drunk drivers. So they prioritize, and I think rightly so. That's why they have that discretion, and they prioritize certain violations over others. And there's nothing in my motion, I hope, that would even try to rein in that discretion, even if it were possible. I would want to leave it with them. The point, though, is that at least they're out on the road and acting as the deterrent and having the opportunity to go get the toll evaders that matter to the bottom line of this organization. And so that's why I think going up to that 3,600, but in no way cabining their discretion, is the right way to go. And maybe it's just anecdotal, but the point is, let's get them out on the roads. And if they want to issue tickets, fine. If they want to issue warnings, fine. They're out there able to do the job we need them to do. So that's the genesis of my motion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and colleagues.
Thank you. Director Heft.
All right, thank you. Director Wagner, I appreciate that information, and I just wanted to let you know that does clarify things for me a bit, and it's great that you're going on the ride-alongs to see actually what's happening out there. And yes, obviously the safety of our riders is the most important thing, but I was just curious about that because I think when someone makes a mistake, they're driving, and I think all of us would be in this situation. A gentler hand is a nice thing to have versus an automatic ticket. So I was encouraged to see that not every single situation ended up in a citation.
Got it.
That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussions before we take a vote? Okay. We'll first take the vote for San Joaquin with the motion from Director Wagner.
Chair Will O'Neill.
Aye.
Vice Chair Heft.
Aye.
Alternate Goebel.
Yes.
Director Connors.
Yes.
Director Hurt.
Yes.
Director Kelly.
Yes.
Director Kahn.
Yes.
Director Minigar. Director Penaloza.
Yes.
Director Reynolds.
Yes.
Director Taylor.
Aye.
Director Vic-Sorick. Director Wagner.
Aye.
Director Minigar. Director Vic-Sorick. Mr. Chair, noting the absence of Director Minigar and Director Vic-Sorick, the item passes unanimously for San Joaquin Hills.
Understood. Thank you. Now we'll take the vote for Foothill Eastern.
Chair Wong.
Yes.
Vice Chair Miller. Alternate Goebel.
Yes.
Director Beal.
Aye.
Director Chafee.
Aye.
Director Kelly.
Yes.
Director Kahn.
Yes.
Thank you. Director Lombard.
Aye.
Director Murphy.
Aye.
Director Trevor O'Neill,
Aye.
Director Penaloza,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Aye.
Director Voights,
Yes.
Director Wagner,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller. Mr. Chair, noting the absence of Vice Chair Miller, the item passes unanimously for Foothill Eastern.
Thank you. Good discussion. All right, we'll move on to our next item. Do we have any public comments for item number 11, which is the liquidity reserve policy?
There are no live public commenters.
Great. All right, we'll move forward, and this presentation will be by Ms. Potter. And I'll just say real quickly up front, it is such a nice position to be in where we're actually even having the ability to have this discussion. So, Ms. Potter, take it away.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, directors. So this item is a request to approve a liquidity reserve policy. And as part of the board's strategic planning process, a portion of each agency's unrestricted cash was proposed to be set aside as a liquidity reserve. And so a draft policy was presented to the Joint Finance and Investment Committee on February 23rd, 2022. And during that meeting, the committee was very supportive of the policy, but directed staff to provide some additional definition to the timeframes for presenting a replenishment plan, if needed, to the policy. And so the policy then was revised and presented again to the Joint Finance and Investment Committee on April 13th, 2022. And the committee unanimously recommended approval of the item that you have before you today. Next slide, please. And so it's policies like this one before you today, as well as the board's commitment to sound financial practices, that has placed the agency in a very strong financial position and has improved each of the agency's credit ratings. And we know how important that has been to the agencies. We've talked a lot about the refunding transactions that we were able to complete in the last few years that saved the agencies more than $700 million in interest without extending any of the bond maturity dates. Also, by building a very strong financial base and having this very strong liquidity and this unrestricted cash that we're talking about today, that well-positioned each of the agencies for the pandemic. And so that is really a strong consideration for this policy that's before you today. And also, as the boards have adopted a strategic plan that contemplates using some of the unrestricted cash to fund the capital program rather than issuing additional bonds, and also to pay down bonds early, it's really important that we preserve some of this cash to maintain our strong credit and for these other purposes noted. Next slide, please. And so the purpose of the policy is to establish a liquidity reserve within the agency's unrestricted cash that supplements the restricted bond indentures that each agency has and provides support for meeting debt service coverage requirements or debt payments if revenue is impacted by economic events, and also to support the agency's credit ratings by maintaining targeted unrestricted cash balances. And so the parameters that are included in the policy are a minimum, which is really held for the rainy day component, and then a larger target balance, which is there to maintain and improve the agency's credit ratings. Next slide. And so what you see here is a representation of the agency's unrestricted cash and the inflows and outflows that occur each year. And so this box, both the blue and gray section, is the unrestricted cash. The top section shown in blue is this proposed liquidity reserve that would remain in place and only be used for those specified reasons I mentioned. And then the bottom section represents the inflows and outflows that occur every year in our unrestricted cash. And in accordance with our bond indentures, we are required to meet a debt service coverage requirement that then requires each of the agencies to generate a surplus of revenue each year. And so that surplus flows into this unrestricted cash. And then each year, as part of the agency's budget, amounts or expenditures are programmed to pay for ongoing non-operating type activities, such as maintaining our environmental program, and then, of course, our strategic planning initiatives, such as our capital program and our early pay down of bonds. And so those then are spent or outflows of our unrestricted cash. Next slide. And so the policy includes the minimum and target, and so the minimum would be calculated at the beginning of the fiscal year based on the following fiscal year's scheduled annual debt payments plus estimated operating expense. And the target would be set as well at the beginning of the year based on 10% of the outstanding debt balance at the beginning of the year. Next slide. And so now I'll talk about the use of these funds and the process for replenishment of those funds. So there may be a strategic plan item that had not been included in the current approved strategic plan that the boards identify and would like to add. And so if the available unrestricted cash balance exceeds the specified target, then a revised forecast of cash balances would be presented to the boards along with this request to add an item to the strategic plan. If that request or proposed use of funds dropped the balance of unrestricted cash below the target, then a plan to replenish back to the target within no more than 5 years would be presented to the board at the same time as the request for the proposed use of funds. And the policy indicates that for this type of use of funds, the balance should not fall below the minimum reserve. So the balance could only fall down below the target. Next slide. As far as the rainy day or emergency use of funds, so for example, during the pandemic, we used some of the cash to support our revenue to ensure that we would meet our debt service coverage and also to obviously make sure we could make our bond payments. And so if there were a need such as that, then the proposed funding would be presented as part of the annual budget, or if the event occurred after the budget was adopted, it would be presented as an amendment to the budget. If unrestricted cash already exceeded the target and there were funds available for this need, then those excess funds would be used to support the budget. If the proposed use of funds were to drop the balance of unrestricted cash below the target, then a plan to replenish back to the target within 5 years would be presented to the boards within 90 days. If that proposed use were to drop the balance of unrestricted cash below the minimum, then a plan to replenish back to the minimum within 2 years and a plan to replenish the target or back to the target within 5 years would be presented to the boards within 90 days. Now, there may be an instance during this 90-day period when staff came back to the board where there would be a request for additional time, because this would certainly be under unique circumstances if we were required to use these funds for or drop below these targets and these minimums. or also the board may request additional analysis for deliberation. And so that additional time would be granted within, or at that point where staff approach the board. And the replenishment timeframes, according to the policy, shall begin upon approval of the replenishment plan. Next slide. And so with that, before you, you have the policies, and the board recommendation is for each agency to adopt a resolution that approves the liquidity reserve policy. And that concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer questions.
Great, thank you. By the way, I meant to mention this for the reserves that we're going to be adopting on pages 2 and 3 of the San Joaquin. It says Foothill Eastern at the top, so we'll just need to fix that before we get there. Anyway, I should have mentioned that before the meeting. Sorry,
Okay.
I was just looking at my notes and realized it. All right, directors, do we have any questions or comments? I'll jump in and real quick and just say, this is the continuation of really good policies that we've been putting in place. It's been a great opportunity to go through and have the conversations, and this comes out of the visioning session that we went through late last year that was particularly productive. So, thank you. All right, since I see no questions or I'm sorry. Yep, Chair Wong.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick comment of appreciation for Amy and your team for a wonderful job, and the leadership under Samuel and Valerie, and all the department directors for making sure that, all our costs are kept at a minimal, and so that we could be in this position. So thank you for your hard work.
Great, thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion first from San Joaquin.
Trish Kelly moves.
All right, I won't make someone second. I'll second it. And then to expedite, I'll take a motion from Foothill Eastern.
Move the item. Murphy.
Second, Scott Voigt.
All right, we'll take the second from Scott Voits. All right, let's start with the San Joaquin Hills Board.
Chair Will O'Neill,
Aye.
Vice Chair Heft,
Aye.
Alternate Goebel,
Yes.
Director Connors, Director Hurt,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Kahn,
Yes.
Director Minigar, Director Penaloza, Director Reynolds,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Aye.
Director Vic Sorick, Director Wagner,
Aye.
Director Connors,
Aye. Thank you.
Director Minigar, Director Penaloza, Director Vic Sorick. Mr. Chair, noting the absence of Director Minigar, Director Penaloza, and Director Vic Sorick, that item passes unanimously for San Joaquin Hills.
Thank you. Let's move on to Foothill Eastern.
Chair Wong,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller, Alternate Goebel,
Yes.
Director Beal,
Aye.
Director Chafee,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Kahn,
Yes.
Director Lombard,
Aye.
Director Murphy,
Aye.
Director Trevor O'Neill,
Aye.
Director Penaloza, Director Taylor,
Aye.
Director Voits,
Yes.
Director Wagner,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller, Director Lombard,
Aye.
Thank you. Director Penaloza. Mr. Chair, noting the absence of Vice Chair Miller and Director Penaloza, the item passes unanimously for Foothill Eastern.
Understood, thank you. All right, that takes us to item 12, the Printing and Mail House Services Contract. Do we have any public commenters for this?
There are no live public commenters.
All right, thank you. All right, our last business item is going to be presented by Truly Bayshore. I almost messed that one up.
Got it.
Truly. All right, Ms. Bayshore, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Honorable Directors. My name is Truly Bayshore, Customer Service Revenue Manager. The item before you is the Printing and Mail House Services contract. This item was presented to the Joint Toll Operations Committee, and the committee unanimously recommended approval of the item by the Board of Directors. Next slide, please. The current Printing and Mail House Services contract was awarded in July 2017. The contract expires on June 30th, 2022, and requires a new contract. TCA issues approximately 4.3 million customer correspondences per year, including invoices and notices. To process this volume of mailings efficiently and cost-effectively, TCA requires a qualified and experienced printing and mailing provider. Mailings are time-sensitive and critical to TCA's operations and daily communications to inform customers in every possible way regarding instances that could negatively impact their accounts, such as failed payment, account suspension, and toll violations. Next slide, please. A request for proposal was issued in November 2021. 43 firms expressed interest. TCA requires unit pricing for materials and services for 19 different document packages. Costs associated with the contract are based on actual printed and mailed pieces, which vary based on the document type, envelope, paper, and number of pages. The mail house services include online document tracking that provides a visual recording of each document as it moves through the production, quality control, and USPS delivery process, and provides a real-time status and detailed workflow history of each document. The mail house services also include a 24-hour mailing requirement upon receipt of TCA data. The contract includes a revenue protection provision that protects TCA from loss of revenue should TCA lose the ability to collect revenue due to the contractor's failure to mail violation notices. 3 firms submitted responsive proposals. Evaluations of the proposals and interviews were conducted by a team of 3 evaluators from toll operations. The firms were evaluated on their experience, ability to meet schedules, quality controls, reliability, and compensation. Based upon the independent evaluations of the proposals and interviews, the evaluators unanimously selected Questmark as providing the best value and its experience in providing the requested services for TCA. Next slide, please. Here is the list of proposers and their proposed pricing. The proposed pricing was for 1 year based on estimated item volumes provided by TCA. All firms were given the same information for the pricing, samples of letters, envelope types, paper types, weight, and dimensions. Because of the variation in prices, staff took extra steps to contact each proposer and to confirm their price. Questmark provided the lowest proposal of $361,064. Next slide, please. A little background on Questmark. Questmark's head office and production operations are located in Houston, Texas. Questmark has over 28 years of experience performing similar services to various tolling agencies. Questmark is a certified women-owned business enterprise. Since 2013, Questmark has been providing bulk printing and mailing to TCA. Questmark has consistently met TCA's performance requirements. Staff has been satisfied with their services and is confident that these services can be provided with the price proposed. Next slide, please. So for San Joaquin Hills Transportation Corridor Agency, staff is seeking the board's approval to authorize the CEO to execute contract with Questmark Information Management, a 3-year term with 2 one-year extension options, a total not to exceed $951,000. Second, authorize the CEO to execute amendments up to 10%, not to exceed $95,100 without further board's action. And third, authorize the CEO to reallocate the aggregate costs to each agency as determined annually based on reasonable assumptions and methodology. Next slide, please. The same recommendations are proposed for Foothill Eastern Transportation Corridor Agency. Authorize the CEO a total not to exceed $1,049,000 and up to 10% not to exceed $104,900. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any questions? Please use your raise hand function if you do. All right, I see none. Do we have a motion from San Joaquin?
Don Taylor, move the item.
Wagner, second.
All right, and then how about a motion for Foothill Eastern?
Scott Voigt, move the item.
We have a
Trish
second.
Kelly, second.
Trish Kelly seconds. All right, let's take a vote from San Joaquin first.
Chair Will O'Neill,
Aye.
Vice Chair Heft,
Aye.
Alternate Goebel,
Yes.
Director Connors. Director-
Yes.
Thank you. Director Hurt,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Kahn,
Yes.
Director Minigar, Director Penaloza,
Yes.
Director Reynolds,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Aye.
Director Vic Sorick, Director Wagner,
Aye.
Director Minigar, Director Vic Sorick. Mr. Chair, noting the absence of Director Minigar and Director Vic Sorick, the item passes unanimously for San Joaquin Hills.
All right, thank you. Let's go into Foothill Eastern.
Chair Wong,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller, Alternate Goebel,
Yes.
Director Beal,
Aye.
Director Chafee,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Kahn,
Yes.
Director Lombard,
Aye.
Director Murphy,
Aye.
Director Trevor O'Neill,
Aye.
Director Penaloza,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Aye.
Director Voits,
Yes.
Director Wagner,
Aye.
Vice Chair Miller. Mr. Chair, noting the absence of Vice Chair Miller, the item passes unanimously for Foothill Eastern.
Thank you. All right, that brings us to the Chief Executive Officer's report.
Nothing to report today, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. I'll go to Board Chair reports and new business. Chair Wong, anything? All right, I just have two quick things to finish off. The next meeting, we have our budget approval, which requires two-thirds, not two-thirds of those here, but two-thirds of the board. So it's important that you either be there or your alternate is there. So please do make sure that the next meeting, June 9th at 9:30, again, either you're there or your alternate's there. And then last but not least, I'll just say, alternate Gopal, please give Director Bartlett our best as she continues to move through with the fire that's going through. And we'll, of course, be thinking of our colleagues in particular in Laguna Niguel and Dana Point. All right, we stand
Thank you
adjourned.
so much.
Thank you. We stand adjourned.